Should you worry what other people are doing? Well, that's one of the fearless questions we're asking this week with Dustin W. Stout, the second time repeat guest that we've had on this show. And we're going to be fearlessly questioning. The actual title of the show is Fearlessly Questioning Comparing Yourself. You've probably heard from a lot of different people that you shouldn't compare people. You shouldn't compare yourself with other people. Like, where they've gotten on their own is up to them, and it's their particular, unique, special snowflake journey, and that we shouldn't concern ourselves with their success or our lack thereof, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, it's an interesting conversation. Justin and I kicked this around, and we kind of circled a lot of related and connected topics to this, and I think it's going to go in a couple different directions. But ultimately, I think where I'm going to fall and where I'm going to push Justin a little bit on this, because I think he's going to be slightly against me on this, is when we think of comparing, at least in my opinion, I think it's hard not to involve the word being competitive. I think they run the same direction, probably on different tracks, but ultimately, comparing, means like maybe you're being distracted, maybe you're not necessarily focusing on the right things. But I think you want to be competitive, and you don't want to not compare yourself in an effort to, you don't want to not be competitive in order to, in an effort not to compare yourself. And I don't know, I grew up, playing sports and video games and all that stuff. So I don't know if it was just something that I was naturally drawn to the competitive things, or if I, became a competitive person because of those activities. I don't know. There's probably a psychological study somewhere that's going to tell me that one of those things screwed me up more than they probably should. But either way, I do enjoy, whether it's a little more than friendly or just, friendly competition. You have people, within your industry or that you're connected with, that you are doing similar things, and obviously you're paying attention to what they're doing. And I think, it's just, I like to, make sure that I'm keeping pace with, some of those people, to say, listen, yeah, you did this, I can do that too. I know some of that, people would say that's unhealthy, but I don't know. I think that's what I want to find out about Dustin, because he's coming, at least from what, if you watched his rant, that's going to be coming up to this. If you listen to that, he's going to talk to you about, the idea that, you shouldn't necessarily concern yourselves with what other people are doing, that you're going to have your own special take and spin on things, and to not worry about that. I don't know. I think the comparing yourself can lead you down a dangerous and potentially, drug-induced rabbit hole that you're not going to want to go down. Because if you're not comparing the right things to the right people, then you're going to definitely find yourself struggling more than not. And where I'm coming at this from is how do you find out ways to continually just not so much measure yourself, but make sure that you're checking your ambitions with what's to be expected. Because if you don't know, if you're not aware of what's going on around you, then I could say that just getting out of bed was a pretty good achievement today. Maybe that is for you, but I mean, you have to know, you have to have some sort of sense about you, about your surroundings, about the things that you're looking to try and to accomplish, and the different bars that you need to set along the way. And if you don't set those bars, then are you gonna be able to jump over them? I don't know. I guess the rant that I want to go on, and it's kind of like the everybody gets a medal type thing, and I think this is kind of close to that. Is that we want to give everybody, we want everybody to win, but everybody does not win. We know that. That. We were told that probably at some point, but we've learned probably time and time again that you don't win all the time. And I think I see some of this creeping into the advice that comes out from time to time. And I feel like when you say don't compare yourself to some people, that you're just saying, well, don't worry about it, your time will come. If you're not forcing your time to come, then I doubt it ever will. And if you're not comparing, then you're not going to know what time should come when. And I think that's the problem, because most of the time when they say, maybe the argument isn't prefaced in the right way too. Maybe when people are saying don't compare yourself, is that, you know, their success is not your success, and I get that. But there are certain, things, that, you may or may not achieve. And I want to use, my perfect analogy for this is baseball. I don't know how many of you are baseball fans, but I mean, if you look at minor league baseball, when you look at different players and you compare them to one another, it's all relative to their age, So, I mean, you can't say, oh, don't compare yourself to that other player, because if you're 25 years old and you're in AAA, chances are you're a marginal prospect. But if you're 20 years old or 21 years old and you're in AAA, then you are the youngest player there. It's phenomenal. It's ridiculous. And if you're in the major leagues at that age, then you're going to, chances are you're going to be pretty darn good. And it's all about, knowing what's good and what's not. I don't know if that's something, if the idea of what is considered good and what is not, and who is ultimately the judge of that, I would say, at the end of the day, are you meeting whatever goals that you have set? Are you comfortable with the lifestyle that you have? Do you have enough money in the bank to do whatever it is that you're looking to do? I would say that those are the things that, you would ultimately need to just kind of calibrate this comparingness that you're maybe doing or not doing. And once that is kind of set in place and you have kind of a good foundation, then I think it's okay. But if you're just, comparing things that aren't relevant or don't, have any bearing on what you're trying to do, then it can be a little unhealthy. I'll give you an example within the insurance industry, obviously, which I, when I'm not doing this show, I spend an awful lot of time in. And, we do a lot of, stuff online and marketing online. And, it's gotten to the point where, I've had other agents ask me for advice on how they might be able to do similar things online. And, I found myself in a scenario where I stumbled across another agent who was doing some interesting things. They were having some success, and it might have even surpassed some of my own efforts, to my surprise. And I started comparing myself to them and thinking, well, what are they doing that I'm not? How are they getting those results and I'm not? And I think that's a little healthy, because sometimes we do get lax. Maybe I am not getting enough of the results that I maybe could. But then I also stopped and took a step back and saying, well, yeah, they're getting this, but ultimately I feel like I'm working on something else in a different direction that they, probably are not even aware of yet. And then I have to just, I guess I basically asked myself, yeah, I could probably do that, but should I be doing that? And the answer could be yes, it could be no, it might be both, it might be maybe, it might be I don't know what. But at the end of the day, you need to know where it is, I guess, that you're going. And comparing for comparing's sake is definitely not healthy, but comparing with a firm understanding of where you're trying to go and what you need to get there, I think it's all right. And I don't want anybody else to tell you that it's not okay or you shouldn't compare, don't worry about it. I just think that's something people say that, they want everybody to win. And I mean, yes, that's a nice thing. I think, yeah, everybody should win in their own way, I guess. I'm going to dance around this a little bit, but at the end of the day, we all can't be the MVP of the team. And if you want to be that person, then, understand what that, what the MVP before you did. How do you get there? And you're not going to do that unless you make those comparisons and understand and deconstruct and reverse engineer those things. I think that's all some sort of twisted form of comparison. I might have made this thing make sense at all. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a fun conversation with Dustin, because, like I said, I think he's going to come from the more holistic camp. I'm going to be a little more cutthroat on this. I'm going to give a little tough love. And I think that we need to maybe just compare with a little more responsibility. But we'll be back. We're going to talk with Dustin this Thursday. That is going to be May the 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to, as always, have you join us live. Also, working on some interesting new things for everybody out there. Right now, you can subscribe to the show to get what we call the Fearless Files Library, where every guest is asked, what fearless question are they most afraid to ask themselves in their own life and or business? And most importantly, how are they working to answer it? And all of those answers are in the Fearless Files library. With every guest that we've had on the show so far has answered it. So we've got over 40 answers in there from tons of different, very smart, very educated guests that have done really cool things. And to hear what they're afraid of, hear what they're afraid of what's coming next is very interesting to me. But we're going to be expanding that. We're going to be moving beyond that. And I really want you to start thinking in terms of impact and what kind of impact you are or are not having and how you'd like to have a bigger one. And that's what we're going to be looking to do here, I think, moving forward. I'm kind of excited about it. Feel free to give me your feedback on it. What type of impact do you do or do not want to make? And that's what we're going to start thinking about. We're going to offer a lot more with those Fearless File videos. And I'm really looking forward to being able to finally share that with you here coming up really soon. But in the meantime, if you want to head over to fearlesslyquestioning.com, the form right in the middle of the page will get you access to the existing Fearless Files as they are currently constructed, and you can go from there. But I'm going to get out of here. We'll be back with Dustin. Again, that's May the 14th, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm Joey Giangola. Take it easy, everybody.